What is up, Gorilla Nation? It is Relentless here, bringing you yet another Division 2 video. If you happen to be new to the channel, or you're just enjoying the content, then please be sure to ground and pound that like and subscribe button. Also, reach up there, trigger the bell, and turn on post notifications, so that way you never miss a live stream or a video that is uploaded. Well, in today's video, just like the day before, as we went over health versus armor, today we're going to be doing another versus, but this time it's going to be weapon damage versus armor damage, or damage to armor, as you see on mods and of course baked into the shotgun. For instance, today we're going to take this mock-up right here, and I have 3 mods in. This one gives me a total of 4% LMG damage. This one gives me 5.5%, as well as the other one another 5.5%, for a total of 15% weapon damage. So let's step up to the line. Let's make sure it's on veteran or anything really with armor. And since this game actually does not like me at all, it's being very difficult. We'll get there in a moment. Alright, now we're on veterans. Let's get a baseline here. 31,334. 31,334. Alright, so now let's switch over builds to this particular one, and in this one we have the same mods in all 5 mod slots, which gives me 1% weapon damage and then 2% damage to armor. And just as before, you can see both, and actually all, are identical to each other with the same amount of weapon damage and damage to armor. So we're getting 10% damage to armor and then 5% weapon damage. So now you know why I went with 15% on the previous one, to kind of counteract the 5% that was on this one, to make it a good head-to-head battle as far as 10% weapon damage versus 10% damage to armor. So we got our base at 31,334. Now with this one, with the 10% damage to armor, 32,594. So roughly 1,200 more damage with the damage to the armor than it is just pure weapon damage. So one could potentially say, let's say for instance, in these 5 mod slots, you get 30% total weapon damage going to your weapon. And then if you had better mods in your gear, instead of like the ones I had with 2% damage to armor, let's say you had ones that had 3% damage to armor, even if it had 1% damage to regular weapon damage or 2% weapon damage, the more the merrier. But just to stick with 3% damage to armor, then that would put us at 15% damage to armor versus 30% weapon damage. Well, if you do the math, the 15% damage to armor, since it's multiplicative, is actually still going to be hitting stronger than a base of 30% weapon damage, which is additive. So you can kind of fluctuate with those numbers, but it basically depends on the amount of damage to armor percentage-wise that you can actually get in mod slots versus the double the percentage of weapon damage. For instance, if you have 15% damage to armor, is going to be stronger than the 30% regular weapon damage. So as let's say if you have 20% damage to armor, then to more or less compensate, then you're going to have around 45% weapon damage to be equivalent to that amount of that damage to the armor. So whatever your damage to armor is, double that percentage, and that will what will be significantly, your overall weapon damage to kind of counteract it. So inevitably, damage to armor is in fact stronger because it's multiplicative than regular base weapon damage. But like I said, it also depends on the number of mod slots and those particular mods and their values of damage to armor that you have on them. Because as of now, since they changed the 2-piece True Patriot to where it used to give you 10% damage to armor, then adding this additional damage to armor in the mods was really, really strong. Now it just gives you 10% extra armor. So if you can get the mod slots and with those, at least 3% damage to armor and have at least 5 of them to give you 15%, and you're going to be doing significantly more damage then you put like 6% weapon damage mods in all 5 slots. So also keep that in mind. But I hope it's been informative. Hope I didn't confuse you any. I'm just trying to more or less help out the community, because right now there are a lot of misconceptions and a lot of things go overlooked, or say underlooked or undervalued or looked over, because we get these content creators just saturating YouTube with all these different builds, you know, saying one is the best, another one saying theirs is the best, and you know, who's really to know whose is best? It just depends on the actual player and their personal preferences, and their playstyle is also depends on what build is actually best, because what's best for them may not be best for you. And some people can just make a shit sandwich sound good, and then you try it out yourself and realize, yeah, they can make it sound good, but it still tastes awful. So buyers beware to all those used car salesmen, content creators out there that'll try to steer you wrong. Always, if you have the time, if you have the resources and want to try it out, first and foremost. But you know, essentially, if you are accustomed to making all these builds and knowing these values, then you can kind of see videos what they are, and kind of can see right through those used car salesmen. So buyers beware. But hope you guys enjoyed it. Hope it's been informative. Hope it helps out. We'll see you punching later.